I'm not my breath. I'm not even my body. I move beyond my mind. I move beyond thinking. I move beyond even a single thought. And I invite Samuel and my guides to speak through me. Welcome back. We pause. He feels a bit unsettled. Dear ones, I step forward. He so appreciates the gentleness of my energy. It calms him. Surrounded in love you all are. Even when things go not as expected, surrounded in love you all are. Easy to lose sight of at times. We remind him, and we remind you, that even in the stillness we are present. This practice of meditation, this purposeful quieting of the mind, has many benefits. Takes the edge off your humanness a bit. Suspends for a time the ebb and flow of your thoughts, the ebb and flows of your cares and concerns. Allows your mind to rest, so to speak, even though you remain aware. For as we have said, thoughts are energy, are they not? He remembers questioning when he was young. If everyone had the same thoughts, questioning why some people think differently. This questioning mind is part of being the human, part that allows you to discover, to learn, to grow, just as this practice of meditation allows you to learn how to still your thoughts, how to sit in silence, how to appreciate just being. For is it not beneficial to develop some discipline with these things you call thoughts? For sometimes they run away like a runaway train, do they not? And in those instances, you can forget who is ultimately in control. Are there any questions?
Samuel, you had made the comment that you were an aspect of Keith's higher self. How many other aspects are there of being human? I'm asking the question about numbers, but it could be not given in numbers, but that there are other ranges or developments or realities. Just curious.
Yes. Being an aspect of his higher self, I am. If you meant, are there many aspects of his higher self?
Aspects or attributes, different, almost like personalities, or, I mean, even multidimensional. I wasn't quite going that far out, but
different levels of consciousness.
Different levels of consciousness, yes, of the physical entity that we know is Keith, and then your higher aspect.
This, how do we say? We seem to get in this discussion a lot. We speak of this other side, call it a dimension if you wish. Could not you think of dimensions like layers of consciousness?
So the layers like a hologram layers?
We struggle with this. You could call them holograms.
Quantum field?
Again, we speak. You in your three-dimensional perspective. How do we relate this quantum field? These holographic layers of consciousness. These energy fields that are beyond the realm of your witnessing. I guess we could use the example of your oceans. How there are certain life forms that exist in conditions far different from your own, at depths that the human body cannot withstand. Again, you ask us to explain. Put something in a reference plane that you can understand. This sea of energy we speak of, this higher self, exists as but energy, has no physical form, yet like a distinctive musical note is recognizable, layer upon layer.
So what lifts the layers up?
Well, you've discussed layers, levels of consciousness. You can call it frequency. The higher frequencies are much harder to discern than the baser ones. Just as you've read and you know, there are certain people who seem better equipped, so to speak, to even witness angelic presence. And there are those, many, who cannot. There's a range of consciousness that you can have in this human body. It has been discussed. This human form you have taken, how do we say, cannot hold all the energy that you truly are. This higher self that we speak of, I guess you could say, is the part that has not come into human form.
If we had the right color or the right whatever, could we color this energy and then be able to see it? If we had the right...
Is that not what your aura is, dear one? Your aura is layered, is it not?
Right. But it...
Some
the same
can
as
visualize auras and some cannot. The same concept. And when it transitions, there is no... Again, we struggle how to phrase this in your 3D world. There are no distinct boundaries, so to speak. There's a transition from one to the next, yes.
Would it be fair to say, Samuel, then that our human minds in this third dimension, as we advance to higher levels of consciousness, can perhaps experience rather than know analytically kind of what we're talking about here. And then when we do get to the other side, then we know experientially as opposed to analytically or with the limitations of
the human mind. This is not a good point, dear one. For is not the most profound learnings you have experiential learnings. Reading about something versus experiencing it.
I had heard it quoted that the only thing that is real is experience. It's our knowing then. It's our knowing.
It's the knowing.
And everybody has a different knowing.
Everybody's on a different path, dear one.
Different experience. A different digesting of the experience. Assimilation.
Each one of you is having a different experience tonight. Sitting in the same room, hearing the same words, but each processing just a bit different.
Is even childbirth like a form of resistance? I've been thinking a lot about resistance, and it's a nice, warm, safe place, and all of a sudden, it's time. So, I mean, as humans, we come in with a sense of resistance to the physicality, because it's all happening to our little bodies and things like that, that it starts right there. It's been okay up until that time. It's like, welcome to the world of resistance. And now you have to unlearn everything you just learned, child. At the moment you're born.
The moment you are born.
And that's an ascension of sorts, isn't it?
And then what happens? You start to learn how to use your body. You start to understand language. And then all of a sudden you are taught all these social norms. And then you get to this thing you call adulthood. And you start questioning why some of these things were considered proper. This awareness awakens in you that not everything is not as it seems. Yes, you can get lost in your humanness and go on for decades, not questioning.
When you begin
yes?
When you begin to question, does that more or less summon the other side, the energy of the other side to
Open doors.
Open doors and say, because once you're expansion, you can't go back, you can't contract.
It's an ascension.
Yeah.
Go back in.
Yeah.
You have to keep going up in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, once you touch the hot stove, you don't want to go back. Once you experience
that's the first experience.
This glimpse, if you wish to say, of a grander existence.
So meditation, silence, listening, walking in nature, wondering can be, the more we practice it, real gateways or the opening to receive.
Yes, the opening to receive, dear one. Making yourself receptive. This one was relating to his dear one Laura. The Japanese have studied the benefits of being out amongst the trees. They call it tree bathing. Just being out in nature to experience the energy of the forest. How often have you noticed how the energy seems to reawaken in Gaia in the springtime? Ebbs and flows. During his training, just a couple of weeks ago, that was one of the purposes, to become accustomed to the feeling of the presence. He feels it right now, in the back of his crown, up and behind, I suppose you could say, as if we were standing directly behind him. And we talked of these different layers, these finer energies, learning how to attune yourself to their presence, so to speak. The whole purpose of that opening song he plays is to allow not only himself but everyone present to slip into a quieter state, so to speak, a more receptive state. He's been doing that this week, using the technique just in a different way, to allow words to come that he puts on a page rather than speaks. So many different ways, different paths to make this connection. Rare is it for him to see with this faculty you have labeled clairvoyance. Occasionally he gets glimpses. There are others that are much more proficient at this. The one he met, called Stella, is very proficient at that. The one he trained with, Stephen, talked of different dimensions, specifically for healing, characterized it as some of the higher forms of healing come from a dimension that has to be, how could you call it, relayed to you. You do not receive it directly, so to speak. You open yourself to receive this healing energy and let it flow through you to the one you are working with.
Are you talking about things like Qigong and Reiki and hands-on healing?
Yes. But I'm also talking about this thing we've been discussing, this dimensionality of it all. Just for how do we say? Taught to open himself, to allow the energy to flow through him and through his hand into the person that he's sitting with, knowing full well that that energy is coming from a dimension, if you want to call it that, that is beyond, above, finer energies, the higher up you go, so to speak. And know that just as he sits and is a conduit for some of those energies, there are some, how do we say, coarser energies that allow finer energies to flow through them into him. Does that make sense to you?
Coarser energies. Can you say that again, please?
Finer energies to flow through them.
You said
Look,
coarser.
we're talking layers, coarser at the lower, finer, finer, and finer.
It's kind of like sheets.
Stratas.
Yes.
100%
Like your atmosphere on your planet
Yes.
is layers, thinner and
Stratospheres.
thinner. What we are trying to make the point of is that just as he is a conduit for the energy to flow through his hand into the person, sometimes this, whatever you want to call it, first layer of energy has to allow energy of a higher order to flow through it to get to him. It is not like it all resides in that first dimension, so to speak. So when you talk of dimensions, these things you call diseases may need finer energies than, say, to heal a bruised knee, finer energies to heal emotional patterns that are causing distress, ultimately leading to disease, dis-ease, manifesting as a physical symptom. The whole purpose, back to the discussion we had earlier, that your aura is in layers. The whole purpose of having the hand on the person's back is to be in contact with their physical aura if they need healing on the physical level. Just as that's what he feels, the crown of his head, the back of his head, as if his crown chakra has opened. This process that we call blending is just that. Our energies blend with his aura.
Thank you, Samuel, for coming to visit with us tonight.
Thank you, dear ones.
Oh. Thank you, Samuel.
We miss you.